blessings in abundance. The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single charge.
This is the mugshot of 37-year-old Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polite, to his more than 300,000 Instagram followers. Miami Beach police arrested Nowak this week for alleged sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room in February. Police say the alleged victim was the daughter of a woman he was romantically linked to.
Okay, so Mr. Nowak, the terms of the plea agreement are as what the prosecutor just stated, that you are going to be entering a plea of guilty to the 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Do you understand everything that I've said thus far?
Yeah.
As men, it is our duty as men to step up and call out bullshit, right? Because if we do not set a standard for us and say, yo, my nigga, you can't rape kids and be around us.
This man was accused for 2.5 years, pled guilty yesterday. I don't see y'all. I don't see y'all. Half of y'all who tried to condemn me when I was innocent ain't got nothing to say about this man who pled guilty.
What's going on, y'all nigga? Coming to you with another video. So check this one out, y'all. Black people in America, the quote-unquote African American, are a people that are extremely hurt. This hurt, as we probably all know, stems from years and years of slavery and the systematic oppressions that have followed said slavery. Now, why is this important? This is important because ever since this hurt has occurred amongst black people, there have always been these prominent figures within what we call today the Black consciousness movement that try to uplift and galvanize the black people. All right, they usually are great orators, great speakers, and the problem with this is that 9 times out of 10 they try to tap into your hurt. Right? Let me show you guys a video of this one brother in particular called Brother Polite, and I'm gonna tell you what's so disturbing and how his impact has been so detrimental on the black minds. All right, check this out.
Well, when you talk about even the Jesus thing, when in American society, Western society as a whole, when you see the depiction of Jesus as a white man, as someone who's been to Jerusalem, who's been to Egypt,
and Ethiopia, and South Africa,
there are no white people in that region. Yeah. Just based on the climate alone, it's not designed for fair skin and straight hair and so forth. So there was no way that Jesus could have been a white man. It's just not possible because there were just no white people in that area. But yet, when you look at the popular depiction of Jesus, it's a white guy. Long, straight hair, even though it says hair of wool in the Bible and so forth.
And you're going to have black people say it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what race he is. But everybody else is going to have a deity made in and after their image and likeness, except for us.
Yeah.
And then the worst part is, after we adopt the new color, is the narrative accurate? And do we even care to peruse through the narrative?
You see, so everything that he's saying so far, I actually agree with, right? Obviously, Jesus was not no fair-skinned man. It is totally impossible considering the geographical location, right? Everything he's saying is good right now. But you see, this is how majority of people got, especially in the black community, because they speak some forms of truth. They sprinkle it in, but they mix in a lot of bullshit along with it. So now let's see what he proceeds on to say.
You feel me? Like if I go to Matthew chapter 1, verse 23, and I see the word virgin there, and they talking about Emmanuel and Jesus being born, and then I see the word virgin there, and then I go into a Greek concordance and I look up the word virgin, and then I see in the Greek that the word that they're using for virgin just means an unmarried woman. Then the Virgin Mary isn't necessarily represents a immaculate conception.
Yeah.
It means a woman
who's
not married, who had this child. But, I will get cursed at, and I'll be disrespected. But I will also say, it's not me. In any one of the Bibles you choose to read, if you get one that has a corresponding concordance, you can look up the concordance number, and you can see what the words actually translate to be. And thus, no matter what, if they say, not in my Bible, that's okay. But in everyone's concordance, it's going to have the same definitions. So it doesn't matter if your Bible or my Bible's different. Let's look up the concordance number from which these English words derive so we can come to our own definitive conclusion as to what this means and represents. And then when we look up the word, the virgin just simply means the unmarried woman. What are we going to do with that? Are we going to accept it now? That there was no immaculate conception as far as that doctrine is concerned? And then we got to ask, so then where did we get the idea from in the first place? African archetypes of conception. Now we're going to have to go back to Egypt.
You see, and this is exactly what it is, right? And I'm not going to play the whole thing. This video right here in particular had about 1.4 million views, all right? So this brother, again, he was big time. And you could just see here in the comments, right? Look at what everyone is saying. I love how articulate this gentleman is, the way he breaks down this concept, etc., etc. This brother is deep. I could listen to this dude for years, and you see the list goes on and on. And fundamentally, why is this detrimental, right? Because notice if you proceed to watch the entire interview with Vlad TV, you'll see that Brother Polite pretty much what he does is tries to go to the etymology of words to somehow disprove that, you know, Mary wasn't actually a virgin, there was no immaculate conception, that, you know, and then pretty much we got to go back to Egypt. Now, why is this detrimental, right, to the black people? So if you go to Deuteronomy 17, right, and you start at verse 14, it says this: when thou art come unto the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set as king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, who is not thy brethren. Now, why is this important? This is important because, again, you're probably wondering, why are we talking about kings? Well, that's because majority of black people, especially those who follow the black consciousness movement, they have essentially set up these kings. The Dr. Omars, you have Brother Polite, they set them as kings amongst the black community. And why am I saying that? Because, I mean, these people, they so enthralled by their rhetoric, by their speech, that they throw thousands, millions of dollars at these brothers and essentially build them up to be kings. But here's one thing that's very interesting that the Bible says, right? What should this king do? Or rather, what should he not do? If you go to verse 16, it says, but he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. Now, let's stop right there. You see, the Bible says, first that which is natural, then that which is spiritual. You see, so here we are in the spiritual realm. You have established these brothers as these, you know, proverbial kings over the black people, right? And what tends to happen is that these people, especially in the black consciousness community, they always love, you know, you have the Egyptologists, you have the chemists, they love drawing people back to Egypt. Oh, you know, this didn't actually happen. All these stories in the Bible, it actually comes from old texts within Egypt and all this other rhetoric, right? And you people continually get got by their speech. But here's what's so funny, right? Jesus said it very clearly. You shall know them by their fruit. So now let's actually analyze the fruit of Brother Polite.
Both first-degree felony sexual assault charges have been dropped. Let's start it off with this conversation right here. Again, I won't be talking about the case specifically for all the right reasons. Blessings in abundance. The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agree they need to drop all of the sexual charges.
All right, so Brother Polite had his court day today in court, and the judge actually just read the verdict. And let me tell you, it's pretty shocking. I'm going to play the video from court, and I'll be back with my commentary.
And then we will go into the details on the contract. Go ahead.
Your Honor, the plea agreement includes an adjudication, 7 years of state prison, followed by 10 years of reporting probation. As a condition of probation, the defendant will...
Would you say 10 years probation?
10 years reporting probation. Okay. The defendant will complete the MDSO program. The defendant will not be allowed to have unsupervised contact with children. The defendant will have specific terms regarding where he may work and the ability to wear a uniform. There are additional terms of restitution, of which $5,000 has been agreed to be paid upfront within 24 hours, mailed to the to the victim, and additional restitution to be paid out on a monthly basis once he is out of custody. And that monthly amount is highlighted in the written terms of the plea agreement. Additionally, there will be a stay away order from victim TS and her mother, which is also mentioned in the plea agreement.
What is the total amount of the restitution?
The total amount of restitution is $25,000.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, the defendant's counsel going to be providing probation with the proof of the $5,000 being paid?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. All right. Okay, so Mr. Nowak, the terms of the plea agreement are as what the prosecutor just stated, that you are going to be entering a plea of guilty to the 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. You will be adjudicated guilty, which is a criminal conviction on your record. Do you also understand, sir, that by entering into this plea that it may subject you to involuntary civil commitment proceedings set forth in Florida statutes 394.910 through 394.931. Do you understand everything that I've said thus far?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to also advise you, sir, that you are going to be sentenced to 7 years in state prison, to be followed by 10 years of reporting probation. In addition to any of these special conditions of probation, you will also participate in and successfully complete a mentally disordered sex offender treatment program, that you are also not eligible. Okay, you may, according to the state, you may be eligible for early termination if all of the conditions of your probation have been completed, that you have had no violations of your probation, and that you have not been arrested for any other criminal offense. Is that correct, State?
And to clarify, the terms stated in 5 is there is no prohibition on early termination. However, there is a requirement that any modification to this agreement be agreed by the state and the court.
Okay. All right, sir. Now, with respect to this plea agreement, I have on each page next to defendant's initials MN. Did you in fact affix those initials to each page?
I did.
And have you reviewed each and every component of this plea agreement going through page 1 and through page 4?
I have.
Now it says on page 4, having read the above mentioned terms of this plea agreement and having been advised by my counsel, David Terrace, I, Michael Noak, freely and voluntarily enter into this plea agreement and agree to abide by all terms and conditions of this plea agreement, and agree that failure to comply with any terms or conditions within this agreement constitutes a violation of probation and subjects me to be sentenced to the statutory maximum penalties provided by law for the crimes for which I am now pleading guilty. And then it has a signature over the name Michael Noah. Is that in fact your signature, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I am now going to place my signature on this plea agreement, in that I am now going to be ratifying this plea agreement as negotiated between the state of Florida and your attorney. Has anybody, including your...
So there you have it. Brother Polite sentenced to 7 years in prison plus 10 years of supervised release afterwards.
First of all,
Alright, now just to make it very clear, Brother Polite, he's no brother of mine, but this brother over here Apparently, he was dating a woman and actually he is accused of actually making sexual advances on the woman he was dating's daughter. God damn! Do you understand what I just said? He's dating a woman and yet he's hitting on the daughter, who was a minor. Thus, he was engaging in pedophilia. These are the brothers that, black people love to prop up and make them the kings amongst us in society. It's crazy how black people constantly fall for these type of brothers, all because they have the gift of gab. Anyway, we're about to witness how, my son, famous rapper, and, for the most part, he's a pretty he's a pretty stand-up guy. For the most part, I've never heard any of his lyrics promote any belligerent or ignorant activity. So I actually have a lot of respect for my son. So check out how he just exposes Brother Polite. Check this out.
There you have it. Brother Polite sentenced to 7 years in prison plus 10 years of supervised release afterwards.
Now, first of all, let me state that I don't usually speak on situations like this because, I know of instances personally where men have been falsely accused of these allegations. I personally have visualized and seen situations where men were falsely accused of situations like this, so I very rarely speak on these situations because I don't know. And unless I can have a preponderance of evidence, or it's a woman who I know for sure, who I trust and I know is telling the truth, then you'll very rarely hear me speak on cases of this nature because I understand this is a man's life. And the worst thing that you can be labeled is a pedophile or a rapist, right? So I would never want to label someone like that. But in this situation, I feel the need to point out the hypocrisy and the lies here. This brother right here is someone who had a major influence over this culture for a long time. There were people that had him on major platforms and major artists and entertainers. Everybody shared space with this man, and he influenced this culture for a long time. He was given platforms to spread a lot of things. There was a lot of things that he said I agreed with, and I actually respected. But I believe that if we did that to hide this situation and not speak about it, is dishonorable, right? What it does is it teaches. Let's go now. It's time to get busy. Our kids that they should peacefully coexist with shit that's dishonorable, right? That we allow dishonorable individuals to get it passed and hide and not be called out. So what it does is teach our kids that they could be dishonorable. It doesn't set any boundaries. It doesn't set a bar that we set as men and say that we are not going to allow coward shit and dishonor amongst us. So in this point, in this situation, this is some dishonorable crab shit that the man did.
Absolutely.
And I'm not speaking about all the intricacies of the case. I'm just talking about in this exact instance. The man lied. He blatantly lied, right? He blatantly lied about the dynamics of what happened. He said in the beginning of this, you hear him say that all the sexual charges have been dropped. There are no sexual charges that have been against him. They dropped all the sexual charges. That's not accurate. It is a lie. It is deceitful. And it's deceitful because the average person on the internet that's listening doesn't know the law. Neither will they look into the law. So they'll just assume, since you're following this person and he has a cult like following, since you're following him, they believe the words that he says. And they let him misguide them purposely. And then a lot of people don't want to believe it, right? We have a culture where niggas don't want to believe that people that they have respect for do coward shit.
You see, that's what happens when you set this man as a king before you? I mean, who's gonna come against the king? You get what I'm saying? When you've given so much money to this man, who's gonna actually now admit that, man, I was wrong, right? But I'm telling you, you guys are siding with the wrong people, and this is the same brother who tries to get you to go away from the Most High, go away from your Creator, and go back to Egypt. Right? Oh, Jesus didn't actually come from a virgin. These are the brothers y'all listening to.
That some of them are just creeps. We don't want to believe that. So you hide behind this mask and you let them lie to you in this willful ignorance. Right? So the man said that all the sexual charges against him were dropped. And then you listen as he copped a plea to charges, right? Endangering a minor and 2 counts of aggravated child abuse. Now, nobody doesn't understand what he tried to make it seem like aggravated child abuse was just him being responsible for the kid, the young lady, having drugs or alcohol, and him just giving her drugs and alcohol. We know that under no circumstances does endangering the welfare of a child give you 30 years. The maximum is 30 years, right? Because that happens. You can get that. Most people have got that before. But this aggravated child abuse in Florida, under the Florida statute, is the crime of aggravated child abuse is defined as committing an aggravated battery on a child, or willfully torturing, maliciously punishing, or caging a child, or abusing a child in a manner that causes great bodily harm, permanent disability, or permanent disfigurement. Importantly, there's no requirement that aggravated child abuse be committed by a person in a particular or custodial relationship to the child. Thus, what might be charged as a felony battery in the child was an adult, if the child was an adult, can instead be charged as aggravated child abuse at the prosecutor's discretion. This man copped out. He admittedly copped out to 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, which pretty much falls under what could be rape. So what he did was manipulate a situation and say, I'm not going to have nothing that says rape on my case. So name it something else. So I can go out there and lie to the public and continue to lie. And this is what I'm calling out. This is the coward culture shit I'm calling out. Individuals like that, who we've given grace and we've given the opportunity to lead and talk to our children and have influence over our children, when they do shit like this and they blatantly lie, the culture can't cover up for them. They can't hide behind not no real niggas. No man of honor can allow a nigga like Polite to hide behind him, to be shielded, to allow to think that we're going to be quiet because we don't want to say nothing. As men, it is our duty as men to step up and call out bullshit, right? Because if we do not set a standard for us and say, yo, my nigga, you can't rape kids and be around us.
Okay, you see, this is what I want to stress out. He's mentioning that we need to set a standard, but I would venture to say, what standard? What standard are you drawing from? You see, because if you just ask everybody is right in their own eyes, right? Everybody has their own book of the law. You speak to person A, they're going to have their own standards. Person B is going to have their own standards. So what standard are we going to mutually agree upon? You see, and this is the reason why I keep talking about the Bible. You see, because at that point in time, it's not the opinion of Nick, it's not the opinion of Jose, it's not the opinion of Felipe or whoever, right? What standard are we going to abide by? And I would venture to say that the only standard that we can mutually agree on, or we should mutually agree on, it should be the Bible. You see, and this is what I'm saying. And notice, if you look at society is always trying to take you away from the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. This is the reason why they prop up, all these minority groups that are oppressed. You guys can read between the lines. This is the reason why they're trying to divide the homes, the women against the man. Women don't want to actually submit to men, even though the Bible clearly says a woman should submit and obey. Right? You have all these things that's taking place. Why? Because there is no standard that people are abiding by. This is why I keep mentioning the Bible. And you see, and as much as I love what he's saying, we should actually uphold these cowards to a standard. But again, don't blame Brother Polite if he's just operating the way his nature is. I mean, if he doesn't believe in the Bible, which he doesn't, then why are you surprised that he would do heinous acts and engage in pedophilia? Why are you surprised? Why are you surprised that he's been scamming the people? I mean, what institutions has he built? How has he, outside of just speaking and giving you a fuzzy feeling inside, what institutions, what has he built for the people? How has he helped the community? No, it's just a bunch of words. You see, and this is what I'm talking about. A lot of these brothers within the quote-unquote black consciousness movement, that's all they could provide for you. It's just a bunch of words. They do not actually offer any actual substantial life-changing institution or building of the community that will actually change and impact the lives of the black people. They just don't. It's just words. It's rhetoric. You get what I'm saying? So and what people need to fundamentally understand, especially black people, that you see, when people try to take you away from the Bible, they are literally taking you away from your history. The Bible is a book about us. We are the original Israelites that the book talks about. So whenever you have people trying to take you away from the book, this is the reason why these curses continually exist. This is the reason why you keep propping up these kings before you, and all they're doing is trying to lead you right back to Egypt.
We're not going to be quiet. We're going to tell everybody you're a rapist. We're going to let everybody know that you're a fucking pedophile and a rapist. So you're going to be uncomfortable every day. The same way I talk about snitching, I'm not going to let a snitch feel comfortable, because when you do dishonorable shit around me, you can't feel comfortable around me. You're going to be called out every time. So this culture needs to call us. It's way too much silence. I didn't hear anybody with a major platform say something about this. And I know it's taboo, but the reality is, if we're going to take back our culture and we're going to lead our kids in the right direction, we got to do it by being honorable. We got to show them that when we see bullshit, we call it out. We got to show them that this is blatant. This is not no allegations. This man admitted to this. This man, he copped out, and not only did he cop out to it, he lied. That's the reason why I said something. Prior to that, I probably would have said something. Maybe he copped out to a lesser charge because, something going on. But when a man will blatantly lie and say that they dropped all the sexual charges, not thinking that the average person, matter of fact, knowing that the average person on the internet is not going to do any research, they're just going to take Polite's word. Polite said all the sex charges is dropped. But they didn't look under that aggravated child abuse, right? They didn't look at what those standards, and all of those things can be exactly what happens in a rape. So because they call it something different, and then he still has to take sex offender classes. The man lied. He blatantly lied, and he's playing on the intelligence of the culture. And as a man, I can't stand on it. So I call out bullshit. Men like Polite. Any man who thinks it's okay to put harm on our weak, to harm the women and our children in our community, you can't stand behind me. I'm not going to be silent. I'm not going to allow you to move peacefully. I'm going to call it out every time. And that's what real men are supposed to do. We're supposed to stand on honor and integrity. We're not standing with some shit. We're not peacefully coexisting. We're not going along to get along. We're not going to hang with the niggas that's cool, even if they cowards and they doing sucker shit. We're not doing that. We are literally taking our culture back from these cowards, and real men are going to be prevalent again. So I hope I want you to understand it's a new day. You cowards and niggas, your days is numbers. You can no longer hide. Doctor, whatever you call him, Polite, the man is a pedophile. And anybody that says something different is a liar. And they upholding coward culture.
And you know where all liars go? They go in the pit. That burneth with fire and brimstone. They are going to burn. That's where liars go. And you see, this brother, Polite, has always been a scumbag in my eyes. You see, that's why I never got by this clown. I never actually gave my money to this clown, because I already knew he was just like all the rest. He's just a talker. And that's what I'm saying. Black people, and we can even go to the church. Black people are infatuated with people that know how to speak well. But where's the action? We could, like I said, go to the church. How many times you go to church and the pastor delivers a sermon that gives you a fuzzy feeling inside? He has a private jet, but you still broke as shit. Come on, someone speak to me. How many times you have all these speakers? They the only ones that are rich, but what happens to the people? They still broke as shit. But yet you continually give them your money and you present them, you prop them up as these kings. I'm going to land the plane on this because we also have Dr. Umar Johnson who addressed this Brother Polite situation, and check out what he had to say.
This is the mugshot of 37-year-old Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polite, to his more than 300,000 Instagram followers. Miami Beach police arrested Nowak this week for alleged sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room in February. Police say the alleged victim was the daughter of a woman he was romantically linked to.
This man was accused for 2.5 years, pled guilty yesterday. I don't see y'all. I don't see y'all. Half of y'all who tried to condemn me when I was innocent ain't got nothing to say about this man who pled guilty. Half of you who tried to condemn me when I was innocent don't have nothing to say about this man who pled guilty. Half of you who condemned me when I was innocent of charges that I was stealing money. Y'all tried to destroy me. I can't even see y'all now. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We getting to school together, family. We getting to school together, family. Your campus, my campus, our campus. If you ain't building institutions, you're not a part of the solution. If you ain't building institutions, you're not a part of the solution. If you ain't building institutions, you're not a part of the solution. Now let me deal with this one time.
So, I like what he's saying, but there is a lot of context. I mean, if anybody knows about Dr. Umar Johnson, he's been promising a school for black boys for I don't know how long now. And we have a whole bunch of black people that have given him hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we still haven't seen this school. Now, apparently, I don't know if he's alluding to that building that was behind him as the school that's finally starting to get built. Look, I'm not wishing for black men to be liars. I'm not. I actually hope that school is being built. But this is what I really want to point out, right? That, as he said, if you are not building institutions, you are not part of the solution. You're just talking. And this is, I want to actually give out a shout out to this one pastor, Pastor Charles Dow. You guys can look him up, Pastor Dow on YouTube. Just search him out. But he's the only person that I've seen where he has actually built several communities. All these lands that are purchased through the ministry, are paid in full, and he's not the only one benefiting from these communities. He is actually putting families on this land, and they grow their own food, they educate their own children, they build their own houses. This is all debt-free, you guys. This is a man that's actually building institutions and actually is helping people get free out of the system. And yet I hear crickets. Nobody wants to talk about this man. Nobody wants to talk about this man. A man that, like I said, you shall know them by their fruit. And it's very evident that his fruit is conducive to actually setting people free. But there's crickets. But you know who they do want to prop up? They want to prop up dudes like Polite. Dudes like Dr. Umar Johnson, Sinetta. You name all these other people. Then you could go in, even in the Christian world. TD Snakes, Creflo Dollar, Joyce Meyer. All these people that have all these grand promises for people, and yet all the people remain broke. But then when you have real people like, again, just look him up, Pastor Dow, building actual communities in several states, setting a bunch of families free, and not just black people, neither. People of all nations, tongues, creed, you name it. You name it. Setting people free. and nobody is giving him his flowers the way he ought to be, as the way he deserves. No one is giving him his flowers. Well, I'm going to give him his flowers. All right.
Let me deal with this one time. Let me deal with this one time. A very popular brother from the conscious community. We were not friends. We were not allies. We were not associates. I really didn't care for the man. But a very popular brother who was a member of the mainstream Black consciousness community. He was based in New York. According to the reports that I'm receiving, according to the reports that I'm receiving, according to the reports that I am receiving, this brother pled guilty to child abuse, otherwise known as pedophilia. And I don't know the name of the exact charges, but he basically pled guilty to 3 charges that involve or are related to pedophilia, child endangering the minor. There's 3 charges. I don't know what they are. You can do your own research. But allegedly, he took advantage of this 14-year-old girl who was the child of the queen he was dating. Allegedly, I don't follow him. I don't follow mess. But I want to say this because there's a lot going around on social media. This conviction, this guilty plea involving such a prominent person within the conscious community, taking sexual advantage of another woman's child who he was dating, in what appears to be allegedly a very grotesque, aggressive, and violent form of child and or molestation. I want to say this. Brothers and sisters, I'm opening up a school. Frederick Douglass, Marcus Garvey Academy. I'm going to be around your sons. I'm going to be around your daughters. You don't ever have to worry about Dr. Umar Tunde doing anything of that type, because I believe that those who molest children are under some sort of a demonic possession. Demonic possession. Demonic possession. But I'll go a step further. I want y'all to know this right now. If you ever hear an allegation about me, Intercontinental Tunde, if you ever hear an allegation about me, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, don't keep it to yourself. Let's have a public tribunal. That's how I do. Full transparency amongst the race. Full transparency amongst the race. No need for rumors. No need for gossip. Bring it on out and let's let the victim speak. If you ever hear an allegation about me, bring it to my face. Dr. Umar, we heard. My first question to you, where is the victim? How soon can we go live? Where is the victim? How soon can we go live? I want the victim to give a full accounting of the accusations that are being made. I don't want no secrets when it comes to me. Now, everybody else can function how they want to function. But as the leader of Black consciousness, as the biggest name in the world when it comes to Black consciousness, if you ever hear some nonsense about me, bring the victim out. If the victim is now an adult, they can speak for themselves. If the victim is now an adult, they can speak for themselves.
All right. So you can kind of see where he kind of has the same sentiments as my son. Pretty much, such individuals who engage in such acts where they prey on little children, rather than doing things in secret and trying to claim that, the charges have been dropped, my son said that we got to openly hold them accountable as men. And you hear the sentiments of Dr. Umar Tunde. Pretty much he's saying that, hey, let's bring it all out. Let's have a public tribunal and let's bring out all the matters. So pretty much he's saying that he's not trying to operate in the guise of maliciousness like Polite was. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on the whole situation. I mean, I personally think Polite is a dirtbag, and I'm glad he's finally found out. But I'm gonna be real honest with you, there's still a whole bunch of brothers within the Black consciousness movement that are still scamming the people, that are still scheming, and they need to be found out too. Now, I'm not saying that they messing with no little children, but I tell you straight up, it is very evident for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear that these charlatans are literally gaining you through the gift of God. And Black people keep falling for it every single day. Well, anyway, a sucker is born every day. A sucker is born every day, so I'm not surprised. Somebody got to be deceived. Somebody's got to be gullible. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Please let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. I'll leave the links down below if you want to see it for yourself at full length. But with that being said, Nick over and out. The message sent. Jesus is King, y'all.